today on V70S I'm going to be replacing the front subframe bushes. So we're on 330,600 miles currently. It's been about 3,000 or 4,000 miles since I did all the suspension, but I'm having problems with the driver's side front tyre wearing on the outside, and it's a job that I've been putting off for a very long time, and the symptoms have been getting worse. The reason we're out in the car right now is because I really want to get a video of the symptoms, although whenever I try to record I struggle to get the car to do it. So you heard it then. Shush. There you go. I was struggling to get a video of it yesterday because it was raining, and I think that was muffling or somewhat lubricating the bushes. So as you can hear, it has got pretty bad now, and what I'm wondering is if, obviously after I had the suspension work done, or did the suspension work, I had the four-wheel alignment done, but I still suffer with wheel shake, and what I'm wondering is if the subframe moving is causing the wheel alignment to always be out one way or another and keep moving. So it's just, sometimes it's out one way, sometimes it's out another, but it definitely appears to be causing outside wear on the offside front tyre. So no access to a lift today. It's bank holiday Sunday, so I'm in my own business unit. As you can see, I can't ignore this outside wear on the offside front tyre any longer. As you can see, it doesn't really seem to be wearing on the near side. What I'm going to do is jack the front of the car up as high as possible, take both the front wheels off, more for access than anything else. I don't think you do actually need to take them off. Here's my bag of bits from Volvo. I decided against fitting solid aftermarket mounts. I decided to get some genuine Volvo bushes. So that's 867 8497, which is front mount as far as I'm aware. The front and rears are different apparently. So these ones with the blue collar are fronts. The retail price from Volvo is £30.20 on them. That's probably plus VAT. The rears were quite a bit cheaper. They're £20.40 retail price. I did get a bit of a discount, and I think these add up to about £100. And then I've got these Powerflex polybush inserts, if I can get into them.
decided to get the black ones, black series, which are tougher, I guess. And these were £80, so we've got about £180 of bush parts here, and these just insert into the mount, pretty much turning it into a solid mount or a solid block of rubber. This is a rear mount. Seem to be pretty much the same size, but there must be a difference because of the different part numbers. So what I'm hoping to do, I've been sent a few videos where people are drilling out the old bushes, but a friend has lent me a kit, a bush pulling kit, and what I'm hoping to do is pull the bush out. If I can get the subframe down far enough, I should be able to use the largest tool and pull the bush out from below. I'm hoping. I've seen some quite messy drilling and prying methods, but I'm hoping this will work. I've removed the under tray, which you probably don't have to, but it does give you a bit more visibility. And I'm trying to remove as little as possible. I'm hoping that I will get away with just removing this bolt here, which will allow the engine to drop. The engine is obviously attached to the subframe, so I wasn't going to separate the engine from the subframe, but if I do, it won't be much of an issue. I'll just need to support the engine separately. So this is the rear bush. Possibly see a little bit of movement there. These will almost definitely be original, and of course this is on 330,000 miles. There isn't anything left that I can change in the suspension, so I believe that the subframe bushes are the only thing that could be causing the symptoms that I'm having. Got Bilstein shocks and eye-back springs fitted in August 6 months ago. I'm going to try and do the front ones first, because I think they'll be easier to record and see. So what I'm doing is I'm loosening the rear mounting point. We've got to remove this plate as well, so we've got 14mm bolts here. I need to remove them first, and then I would undo this 5 turns on both sides for the rear bushes. So this is the rear mount, loosened 5 full turns. So now I'm going to drop the front. The bolts are 18mm. Put the jack on the subframe to support it, so we've got control over how much it drops. Make sure you keep this plastic spacer. Actually see some rubbing on the bush. Whether that's indicative of excessive movement, I don't know, but we'll have a look at the bush when we get it out. So remove both the bolts for the front of the subframe. Both the rears are loosened by 5 turns. This was the plastic spacer on the offside, near side even, and you can see clearly bush has been rubbing against this, so there's been some movement from side to side, which I suppose is a good sign, because hopefully changing the bush will remedy the issues I've been having. So I'm going to carefully drop down the axle, carefully drop down the jack, which will hopefully drop the front of the subframe enough to get some access, because they've got these locating pins coming out of the body. So we'll see how far we can drop it down without causing any issues up top. So I might need to chop these cable ties, which are holding up the air pipe from the gear selector, which, unless you've watched I've fitted a 6-speed box to this car, converted it from 5-speed. So unless you've seen that, you won't know what that's about. But I'll chop them. Looks like the engine's dropping. No issue there. So I think that's probably the only issue I'm gonna have. You won't have that issue. I'll keep looking. So we've actually quite easily created enough space to get to the bush, the front bushes, without disconnecting anything else at the back and without undoing the engine mounts. So I'm gonna have a go at getting this tool in there, hopefully it'll fit. So I've not been able to use the kit as it comes. What I've had to do is use a piece of threaded rod, and I've made some progress. I'm just having to fine tune it. I'll show you exactly what the setup is when I've got it out. I'm a bit wary because I'm using a thinner rod than I should be, but it is actually moving very slowly, almost to a point where I can get some leverage into the gap. So there's this plate on top, which is sort of going down at an angle because it's pushing on the centre of the bush, but it does hit the edge of the bush once it's clamped down. I found if I use it the other way up, it just pushes all the rubber out and splays it, so it doesn't actually apply enough pressure. The threaded rod, plenty of washers. Obviously this threaded rod's a bit smaller than it should be. And then another nut on the top. And two 19mm spanners. Well, there is a risk, obviously, using this smaller threaded rod, the rod itself will snap. And also I'm using a ratchet spanner, which perhaps doesn't give as much torque as it'd be good to have. That sounded promising. It does actually feel like it's moving considerably now. Yeah, that's definitely moving now. Once the pressure's on, it cracks every so often. Probably would be easier with a longer spanner, but at least I know I'm not putting too much pressure on the rod if I can only tighten it by hand. You can see the washer on top, the spacer on top has fully gone in. So the bush must be quite far out now. It might have come out at an angle a little bit. Just undo it and see where we're at. Okay. Quite a long way out, but we've come out at an angle. We might be able to pry it from there. Let's have a look. So it's not done too bad. Coming out at an angle, but I think most of the way out, to be honest, I might be able to hit that with a hammer. So this is the front one, and this is the one that I thought was the front one, so I'm wondering if I've been advised the wrong way around. I'm going to have to check the part numbers to see, because that's, as far as I knew, the blue one went at the back, and they do seem to be slightly different sizes. So anyway, I've got one out. That's good news. That wasn't as hard as it could have been. I mean, it doesn't look like it's in terrible condition, but there's no telling what's been going on, and it might be the rear bushes that are causing issue on my car anyway. So it's good to get them all changed, and then the whole suspension is refreshed. So I'll move on to the other side. So I can actually see the part number on the old one, 8678497, and that's what we've got on the blue ones. So it looks like the blue ones, this part number, are the front subframe bushes, and the white ones must be the rears. Just setting up to do the driver's side and realised the state of the rod, so I might have to use a different bit of the rod. Clearly not strong enough really to do the job, but this is the best I can do with this kit that I've got. This is the side that you should, the size that should be used, and I'm using, I think that's M12, so it looks like this might be as much as M18. I hadn't noticed or remembered on the driver's side there's no locating pin, so this side you've got a bit more access. So I'm going to pull this one out and then we'll have a go at the rears. Not sure why, but this side appears to be coming a lot easier. You just hear it coming straight out. So I don't know if it's just the angle that the other bush was being pulled out at. This bush came out very easily, but perhaps this one was moving. Perhaps this one was causing some of the issues. Straight out. Because I'm going to need the jack on the rear bushes, I think I'm going to fit the new front bushes. Now, to refit, I think that you'll just be able to pull them in with the original bolt. Maybe apply a little bit of lubrication. Make sure that the right way around. So you see these cut out bits? They were side to side, so you can actually see an imprint of where they were. This may not matter as much with the polybush inserts, but they obviously had a direction before, so you've got front to back movement. These polybush inserts are going to eliminate that movement. So I hope you can see this all right. What I'm going to do is assemble the new bush with the original bolt. You might have been able to get new bolts from Volvo, but if you're concerned, just add some thread lock. I'm going to jack the subframe back up. So that's the subframe back up, fully into position. And now I'm going to tighten the original bolt. So I'll maybe apply some grease around the bush to help it into position, but I don't think you'll struggle too much because the plastic, and they're not the sort of bush that needs to hold itself in position. They are, there's nowhere for them to go. They you know, they bolt up from under the car, so they don't need to be as tight as other suspension bushes. So I've stuck some grease all around the new bush. I'll start trying to tighten the bolt, see what happens. So it does appear to be pushing the back in first, which might not be an issue yet, we'll see. I did actually start putting the bush in the wrong way, as in I hadn't lined up this side. So I've redone it. I'm just tightening it in again. That seems to have done it. You see, it is going in at a bit of an angle, but it is going in, and it should straighten itself up as we tighten it more. On the offside, the thread isn't quite long enough to do it with the spacer attached. The thread on the original bolt, so you'll have to pull it in a little bit without the washers in position. It wasn't pulling in straight, so I've had to fit the washer, but I've missed out the plastic part of it, which is just enough to get the bolt in. I'll try again. I can't get either of the bushes to go in straight, so what I'm going to try to do is use the kit. So I have to drop the subframe back down and try and get them to go in straight. So I've dropped the subframe down even further than I did last time, so that I can use this kit. So I'm setting it up differently this time in order to pull the bush in. So hopefully this will pull it straight in rather than letting it skew off at an angle. I've applied a bit more grease in the correct place, so we'll just have to see what happens now. Seem to immediately push the back instead of the front. I don't know why. Ah, there we go. Slipped in. So it did start pushing the back up first, but then it slipped. And now it's pushed the front up more than the back. This is awkward. So even though I can't find a spanner big enough to hold the top part, I am actually managing to pull the bush in. does appear to be going in straight. Alright. Now the problem I've got is the bolt is too long. I'm not sure how much further I can get away with dropping the subframe. But the bush is nearly in. I honestly thought that the bushes would go in back easier than they came out, but I'm really struggling, and as you can see I've split this one. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, to be honest. So I took the bush back out, and as you can see I've actually cracked it. And this was the bit that was to the rear and would not push up. And if you look here, what's happened is the rubber has grabbed, making it impossible to get past onto the plastic bit where it should be. So I think what I'm going to do is, where it's grabbing, shave off some of the rubber to hopefully make the job easier. I'm still going to use this bush. I don't think that the crack in the plastic will affect anything. What I've noticed while shaving off this rubber is there seems to be an excess on this side of the bush, whereas I haven't had to shave anything off the other side. And I'm wondering if this is contributing to it not going in correctly. Now this is the sort of thing that I thought I would avoid getting genuine parts, but as you can see, the rubber is over moulded onto the plastic, and this appears to be an excess of it on one side of the bush. There's no direction for fitting other than the one that we know, which is they go to the side, outside of the car. So it appears that it's sort of a bad moulding. So I used the tool that I used to remove it to get it back in. As you can see, I've turned it round and the crack is now at the front, but I couldn't get it much further and this side would not go up, so I've just had to whack it with a mallet. I used pieces of metal around the edge as spacers so that I could get the tool to work. I don't think that the crack is going to cause me any issues. I'm just glad that the bush is in. I think that I'll be able to jack up the subframe now, and even if I can't get it fully in, I think that I'll be able to tighten it up and it will settle when driving if it won't pull in fully with the bolt. So before I even try the other side, I've trimmed this all down. I'll show you on one that I haven't touched. So this is one of the rear ones. And you can easily see less material here. I haven't touched this one. I don't think there should be any material really on this plastic bit. But as you can see, there's a load of excess rubber on some bits and then none in others. And this is making it harder to fit them. With the bush pre-shaved, with the rubber removed, it's gone straight in first time. So I just need to shim around the edges to get it in a little bit further, and then I should just be able to use the bolt. So that's actually pretty much all the way in. So, job's a lot easier with the excess rubber shaved off. So I've got both the front bushes in. I've bolted up the near side bush, left it loose so it's got a gap. I've left the offside bolt out and I'm ready to move on to the rear bush. Now, I'm not concerned about any of the drive gear components or anything under the car because the exhaust will come down with the subframe. It's all attached, but I do want to disconnect the steering column. I find it easiest to detach it from inside the car. Got this 13mm nut here, so you can turn the steering wheel to give you easy access. Remove that bolt completely and that'll allow the steering rack to drop without damaging the steering column or any of the UJs. So we're on the near side of the car. I've got the subframe dropped as far as it'll go, and I'm noticing that the hole on this side is rather elongated, overload. On the bush, this is the new bush, and as you can see it's round. So I'm wondering if this is showing where my issue is with this car. I'm not sure how we're going to get this bush out because we've got the locator on the body of the car and I'm struggling to get the subframe to drop down much more, so I may need to detach it from the engine or drop the front of the subframe as well to get some more room. I think I'm going to struggle with this bush on this side because there's no room for access without removing more parts. So in an attempt to not have to remove anything else, I'm going to jack the car up onto this plate and try and push the bush out that way. I'm going to stick some penetrating fluid down the sides and just hope for the best. I don't have much hope, but I'm going to have a try anyway. this being the one with the damage, it's pushing the centre out, but not the whole bush. I gave up on that idea and swapped the side that the bolt is out of. So there's no bolt on the near side now, and I've fitted the bolt on the off side, which has allowed the subframe to drop a lot further. Looks like it is going. That actually ended up being one of the easiest to remove. So this is the bush that I've just removed, and as you'll see, it's got some very strange damage. And if you look at the thickness of the material on the new bush, it seems quite impossible that it's done this. But I do know other owners with P2 Volvos that experience this same knocking when turning full lock over a bump, and I wonder if this is the cause. So we've got these locating lugs on both of the bushes that are on the near side of the car, and this is the new bush. As you can see, no movement, the metal holds in place, but what's happened with this old bush is, in fact, it doesn't fit the hole, and it's the other way up. It's stretched out massively, seemingly in both directions. So it's actually bigger both ways, and this damage is from the bolt. So anyway, to refit these bushes, I'm going to use the same method as the front, only this time I'm going to make sure that both of these new bushes are shaved of excess material so that they do go in properly. So this shouldn't take too long in comparison to the front, so I hope. I've got the subframe nice and low. I'm going to tempt this one with the smaller threaded rod because I haven't got the full space on the top. Only issue with my threaded rod is it's not straight anymore, so I might struggle. I've swapped to a straight rod now, but the bush does still seem to prefer going in at an angle. We'll see if it straightens up. No, it's not working. So I finally managed to get the rear bushes in. Now I stopped recording because I gave up on this side. This side I was really struggling to get this side in. So I went to remove the other side, and it took me 3 hours. It's been over 24 hours since I started the job now. I managed to get the new rear bushes in with the bearing puller kit, fortunately. Obviously by dropping the subframe quite a considerable amount. This is the worst bush that we've already looked at. So it's looking like the bushes weren't actually worn. There was just an issue with this bush, so the rubber is fine, but for whatever reason this has become misshaped and allowing the subframe to move, which seems very odd when it's encased in rubber that the metal has managed to bend, but that's exactly what's happened. So I've got all 4 bushes, genuine new Volvo bushes with the polyurethane inserts. So I hope that some of this video has been helpful to you, and obviously this is just me having a go at doing the job rather than some professional showing you how easy it is to do when actually it's quite difficult. I'll also note that washing up liquid was better than grease for getting the new bushes in, and it's important that the bushes are placed in this direction, so with these cutouts to the outside of the car, because the bushes do appear to be, the new bushes even, appear to be oval shaped. They're not actually round, even before they've been damaged. So this outer part, this plastic part, is actually an oval shape. You'll see that I haven't actually managed to get the bushes fully into position. That was as far as they would go. But what I'm going to do is take the car for a drive on a bumpy road and then check whether they've fully seated into position, especially before getting the wheel alignment done. So driving the car down bumpy roads and everywhere, I did a few miles in it, didn't make any difference to the bushes. So what I had to do was use a brake drum puller, which was a much better tool for the job. It was just so much easier to use than the bearing puller kit, but only possible on the rear bushes because there's an adequate amount of metal around that you can get the arms onto in order to pull against and push the bush into position.
I hope that this video has helped if you're considering doing the job. I just wish that things had gone a bit better for me. So I thought that this really was going to completely transform the car and sort out all these little problems that I've been having, but actually the car is even worse now. So I've ended up with a knock on acceleration as well, which I've never had before. You can sort of feel it coming through the bottom of the car. So whether it's to do with the subframe or whether it's something else, the only thing that I've missed on the front suspension are the anti-roll bar bushes, but there's no play in them, nothing that you can see, but I'll have to get them changed as soon as possible as well. I've had the four-wheel alignment done. I know that oh, you might have heard that. It's sort of low down. Well, you can hear it just cracks all the time. Let's see. Bang. It's just even worse than it was before. But I hope that the video's still helped you if you are doing the bushes. Sorry it's dragged on so long, but it really was a long job. So I know this video is like an hour long. Well, I probably spent 10 to 12 hours on the floor doing this job. So it is a difficult job to do at home. I would recommend getting a better bearing tool. The brake drum puller worked very well for the rear bushes, but I would recommend getting something with a smaller nut for the removal of the bushes, or the refitting of the bushes on the front, and generally the removal. I wouldn't bother with the Powerflex, I can't remember what brand they were, poly bushes. I think they were Powerflex Black Series poly bushes. I won't bother with them. They're not proper bushes, they're just inserts. So they're not actually doing that much. And that's it really. Full disclosure, I might have had some problems with the car afterwards. Got a coolant leak. And I might have done something to the ABS sensor. Got an intermittent fault with them, which was so bad when I first drove the car. It felt like there was something wrong with the drive shafts. It was like the CV joints were knocking really badly. So yeah, do be careful dropping the subframe. Pay more attention than I did. I was doing this over the bank holiday weekend, and this is my only road car currently, so I was rushing it even though it still took me a very long time. If you made it to the end, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next job.